Hi there, this is Sheena Rowlands and today I'm sharing with you my Shimelle Scrapbook Project for 2022. For the layout I'm going to share with you today, I'm going to scrap two pictures of my daughter that were taken in Morocco. I love to scrap our holidays, and I know that travel's not something we're managing much of at the moment, but I've got lots of photographs from previous trips that I would still like to scrap. So I've gone through my travel papers. Now I don't keep them by manufacturer, I tend to keep them all together. They're all mixed in, so that when I need to scrap any travel pictures I just lift them out together. So consequently I've gone through those and I've picked out the ones in colours that I think will go with the photograph. So they're mainly pinks and blues and greens. Looking at the labels on them, most of them are by crepe paper, 3 different ranges I believe. This is a Pinkfresh Studio Out and About. I think there's also some Simple Stories and even some Making Memories, I believe, which is from 2008, which I'll bring in. There it is, and that's what I've matted the photo on. So I don't mind which papers they are, which collection they are. I've picked them mainly because of the colour, and that's how I'm going to use them. So that way I know that they're all going to coordinate together beautifully. So I'm just having a good look. It's really nice to reacquaint yourself with your supplies, and that's what I'm doing here. Looking at all my options, and when I've made some decisions I take some of the others away so that it limits the supplies in front of me, and I find that helps me focus to actually get the page created. I'm not a fast scrapper anyway. I'm not somebody that does hundreds of layouts in a year. I kind of really like the process, so I do enjoy looking through the supplies, making the decisions. To other people it looks a little bit painful sometimes, but it's just the way it is for me. So these pictures, as I mentioned, were taken in Morocco, getting a little bit of winter sun. We managed this just before COVID, and really lovely trip, family trip, and we've not been able to do that since. So it was definitely worth getting these papers scrapped. So this paper on the left, that's already ripped, so I decided I would keep it ripped, but I actually wanted to add another layer underneath it, and I chose the green ferny layout. So these are like a rubbery embellishment I just cut there. I really like the parrot, and we actually saw loads of parrots in Morocco, so I think that will hopefully make it in the final cut. Even that little piece of paper says Morocco that I've cut out of one of the travel papers. So I'm just kind of thinking of where I want things to go. I'm looking at clusters, maybe 1 or 2 around the photograph, and then another at the bottom right to hold my journaling. So at the moment my mind is just thinking. I'm just looking at all the bits and pieces that I've got in the tray that I've picked out in similar colourways. Any of the chipboard pieces I tend to take the sticky off the back so that I can move them round and come up with their final position. I find that if they're sticky on the back that I'm too scared to stick them down first time. So I'm just going to get these photos matted because I know that's something that I really want to do, and then I'll start to have another think about where I want to go from there. So I'm going to clear everything off a little bit and literally start again. So I really like this torn edge. I'm just going to make it so it's sticks out more at the top and less at the bottom, so it's a bit more of a diagonal, so that I can actually put the photo on the bit at the top. I think I quite like the way that looks. It's something that I've done before, and I'm going to use a little bit more of the pink to run down the right hand side now. So I'm going to give that a bit of a tear. I want that to be a little bit of a diagonal too, but it's quite subtle. Now because this paper's got quite a dark colour on the back, you'll just see me actually peeling off some of the white torn bit because you can see the navy edge, and I didn't really want that to show against the white cardstock as my base. As I say, this fern paper, just what I needed. I'm going to cut a couple of strips off there that I can actually tear, and then I can actually stick them underneath the edge of the pink. There's no point wasting the paper, so that's all I need, just to give it a little bit of green running down the edge. I can get a little bit precious with paper, which is ironic really when I've got quite a large amount of it really in my stash. I do try and purge things, and I've got some friends that are happy to accept donations, and a local school as well that I give supplies to. But travel is something that I keep hold of, so that's why I've still got papers from 2008 that I still like. But hey, that's just the way. It just proves how long I've actually been doing this hobby. And I've stuck with it for a long time. I mean, I do other things. I do Project Life. If you follow my channel, you'll see that as well. But I also sew, I also do crochet, and I also go to work. So I do lead quite a busy life. So I'm actually just sticking these two bits together. I'm not sticking them to the cardstock yet because something has occurred to me. So I'm just having a look. That piece on the right is probably wider than it should be, but I will trim it nearer the time when I've decided how many embellishments I actually want to cluster together. So it'll depend how far it's going to stick into the cardstock. I really like the way that bottom cluster's coming. Sometimes things just go together really well, don't they? And the tag at the front there is going to hold a little bit of journaling about our trip. So just in case I think I'm missing out, I'm going to have a look through the tray again, see what other embellishments are there. So I just saw this set of stamps on the right, and then I looked through my stash and I had some more leaf stamps. So I decided I'm going to use them to make a background. So I'm just putting the strips of paper against the cardstock so I've got an idea where they're going to sit. So there's no point stamping all over it. So I want the leaves to go in like a diagonal falling motion. So I'm using Distress Oxides, and I've got 3 different leaf stamps. So I'm going to go, they're going to tuck behind the paper, the leaves as well. So as you can see, I'm looking at a diagonal. I really like this big stamp, and I don't mind that it's not completely perfect there because I'm actually going to make it even less perfect a little bit later on. So I've got some baby wipes and some kitchen roll just to help me keep changing the colour, to keep the colours quite separate. The cardstock that I'm working on, I will tell you, has got clear gesso on. I tend to do a few bits of cardstock at one time, and using a roller, put clear gesso on and let them dry. So then when I do need one, it's not so much of a faff, and I've already got a few prepared. So there's 4 colours there of Distress Oxides. Evergreen Bough, Iced Spruce, Speckled Egg and Bundled Sage. And I'll write those in the box at the bottom if you're interested in the ones that I've actually used. So I'm quite liking the falling motion. I know it looks a bit in your face at the moment, but I'm okay with that. I do like a bit of mixed media. I would say that I'm a neat mixed media person. I can't get too messy, but I do love the effects. I'm just drying those off a little bit first, and then I'm going to add a little bit of water. So this is the thing about Distress Oxides, they react with water. So you may see some of the bluer ones, they're actually spreading. I'm adding some water to some of the others that aren't spreading quite as much at this stage. And it just feels, controlled. I like the way it's going. I have to remind myself it's just a piece of cardstock and a little bit of time. So actually, if you don't like what it makes, it's not the end of the world. This is now dried off. It's got a much more muted tone to it. The leaf shapes are still there, but they're not as vivid as they were at the beginning. And I really like the way it's turned out. But if I didn't, I would have tried it again, or tried something slightly different. So the side bits of paper are now stuck down. So you can still see quite a few of the leaves in the middle. As the layout builds up, they will not stay the centre of attention, but they will look like a nice background, or so I think. So I'm just starting to now look at the clusters, and this one, I really like the bits and pieces that I'd got in it, so I'm just literally recreating it, sticking things down as I go. I wish sometimes I was a little bit braver when I scrapbooked, but that's just the way it is. But that parrot is or cockatoo actually, I think it's a cockatoo, is actually really going to make it because I love it. I think it works really well. So I'm now looking at the cluster as well. At the left, I'm only trying to really work on the right, but I'm backwards and forwards flitting between the two because I want there to be some sort of connection between them. And that's one of the things that the stamping on the background does. I feel like it draws your eye from one set to the other. So I'm just looking at the cluster there. I really like those chipboard leaves. They're definitely going to stay. I think they really work. particularly with the tropical plants in the back of the photograph. So I'm now thinking about also where my title placement will go. Titles don't need to be big, they don't need to be there at all if that's what you want, but mine says hello summertime, which is quite funny because this was actually January, but obviously we're in a different part of the world. The hello in the title and the little heart I've just applied on the right from the embellishment company that I run called Shenanigans. So I will add a link to that as well if you're interested in the words below this video. They're just 3D printed shapes and words that are ideal for scrapbooking. They stick down really easily with either wet glue or double-sided tape. And yeah, check out the shop if you would like. So back to the clustering. I'm now looking on the left. I always find there's always one bit that doesn't quite go to plan, and this bit on the left is giving me a bit of trouble. But I really think the leaf works, and the sunglasses mirror the sunglasses that I've got at the bottom that were chipboard ones. So I'm just going to have a look through some of these sticker sheets, see if there's anything I quite like the look of. Lots of different ranges there, but that's fine, as I say. So I'm just adding a few of those stamp shapes from the Pinkfresh Studio range, just tucking them around the photograph there. I don't think it needs too much more, maybe a few words. In fact, I think I've finished, stuck it down now. I've just brought in some gesso here on my glass mat, just adding some water just to make it a little bit looser, because I'm just going to add a few flicks. I feel like the green leaves, the chipboard leaves, look a bit solid, particularly with the watered down leaves in the background, so just a few flicks and then I'm done. So here's the main image. I'm really pleased with how it turned out. Thank you very much for watching. I really appreciate it, and here's some close-ups just for you to see the way that the background looks when it was finished. Please check out the rest of Shimelle's scrapbook project for 2022, and there's going to be lots of inspiration and some great designers throughout the year. Thank you, and I hope to see you on my channel again soon. Bye for now.